Ah, you said anything. You stood in your daddy's living room and said you'd do anything to clear his debt. So what is it, Eli? You a liar?
My shirt was already half off when I realized what I was agreeing to. Wait. I tried to pull back, but his hand fisted in my hair. It was not painful, just controlling. The kind of grip that made my omega hindbrain light up in ways I'd spent my whole life suppressing. We were in his car, parked behind some warehouse in a part of town I didn't recognize. He'd driven me here straight from my house. Hadn't even let me say goodbye. My girlfriend had called twice already. Dad had called 3 times. I'd watched my phone light up on the dashboard until he'd reached over and turned it off completely. His scent filled the car, leather and smoke, and something dark that made my suppressants feel useless. He was an alpha. Dangerously alpha. The kind my father had warned me about my entire life. I meant work, I said, hating how my voice shook. How omega I sounded. I would work for you. Do jobs, I don't know, anything workable.
You meant you'd let me own you for 6 months, until your father's debt is paid off. And right now, I own this.
His breath was hot against my neck, and I felt my biology betray me. A hint of slick on my thighs, just a hint of it. My body was preparing for something I'd never wanted. Never with a man. His mouth closed over my pulse point, right over my scent gland, and I nearly collapsed. Hey everyone, before you click away, I just want to take a moment to personally invite you to subscribe. If you made it this far into the video, that tells me something here resonated with you, and I would absolutely love to have you as part of this community. Subscriptions are what keep creators like me going. They're how YouTube knows to recommend our content, how we measure growth, and honestly, they're the biggest form of support you can give without spending a dime. I create these videos with so much care and intention, hoping to bring value, entertainment, or inspiration to your day. And if I succeeded even a little bit, I'd be incredibly thankful if you'd subscribe. You'd be joining a community of people who appreciate this content, and you'd be directly supporting my ability to make more of it. Thank you. Now let's dive back. Shit, no way in hell! I'd been with alphas before. Female alphas. Dated 2 in high school, 1 in community college before I dropped out. Safe alphas. Alphas my father could almost tolerate because at least they were women, at least I looked normal. With them, I had only slept with female alphas who were gentle. I was on suppressants, had been since I presented at 15. Heavy doses that kept my heats away, kept my scent muted, lets me pretend I was something closer to beta. Let me work at a gym without every alpha in the building knowing that I was an omega. Suppressants that lets me have a girlfriend. Her name was Sarah. Sweet beta Sarah who didn't care that I was omega, who loved me anyway. But this alpha's mouth on my neck made every suppressant in my system feel like a joke.
You smell sweet, like vanilla and something else. Fear, maybe. Or arousal. Hard to tell with all those suppressants you're pumping yourself with.
He murmured against my skin. Get off me. I tried to push him off, but it came out breathy and weak. His dark laugh vibrated through me. He inhaled deeply at my neck, and I shuddered.
Your mouth says one thing. Your body says another. You're getting slick for me, Omega. I can smell it. Smell it on you.
Shame burned through me, hot and acidic. That's not. His hand slid down my stomach, calloused fingers tracing the waistband of my jeans.
Not what? Not because you want this. Because your biology knows what it needs, even if your head's still in denial.
I don't need anything from you. I bit out. He popped the button on my jeans with one hand.
No. Then why are you shaking?
It was true that I was shaking. I was shaking and I couldn't stop, and I hated him for noticing. Hated myself more for responding.
Look at me.
I didn't want to. Looking at him made it real, made this real. His hand tightened in my hair, forcing my head up with just enough pressure to make my omega instinct scream to submit.
I said, look at me.
I looked. Shit! He was devastating. Sharp jaw, dark eyes that missed nothing, a scar cutting through his left eyebrow. Classically handsome in a way that made me furious. But it was the alpha in him that made my body respond, The confidence, the dominance, the certainty that he could take whatever he wanted and I couldn't stop him. I wouldn't stop him. "What's your name?" I whispered. It was the wrong question. His expression shuttered completely. His thumb brushed across my lower lip and my breath hitched. Omega biology kicked in hard, the urge to open my mouth too. Submit to make this Alfie.
You don't need my name. For 6 months, you belong to me. You live where I tell you. Work when I tell you. Sleep with who I tell you. And when your heat comes, and it will come, Omega, those suppressants won't hold forever. I'm the only one who touches you. Understand?
Terror spiked through me. No. I'll go to a facility.
You'll take my knot like a good boy and thank me for it.
The words punched the air from my lungs. I'd never, not with a male. Alpha, I'd never let anyone knot me, had always ridden out my heats alone in facilities with toys and shame and the knowledge that my father would disown me if he knew I needed to be knotted at all. Omegas were supposed to be rare now, recessive, almost extinct. My father had cried when I presented. Not because he was happy, because he was ashamed. His only son was an Omega, weak, submissive. And it was wrong. He'd put me on suppressants immediately. Told me to never tell anyone, to pretend, to find a nice beta girl and live a normal life. I'd tried. God, I'd tried. And now I was in a car with an alpha who could probably scent every shameful, traitorous response my body made. "I have a girlfriend," I said desperately. "Sarah, we're serious. We're talking about moving in together." He smirked cruelly, and then corrected, his hand sliding into my boxers.
Past tense, Omega. Your beta girlfriend is part of your old life. You don't have an old life anymore.
His hand wrapped around me, and I made a noise I'd never made before. Something between a gasp and a whimper that sounded Omega in a way that made me want to die. "Please," I choked out.
Please what? Please stop? Or please don't stop?
His grip tightened, moved, and pleasure spiked through me so sharp I saw stars. I couldn't answer. Couldn't think past the sensation, past the alpha pheromones saturating the air, past my own body's betrayal. "I've never been with a male alpha," I admitted, the words tumbling out. I don't...
I know. I can tell. You're terrified, but you're also so hard you're leaking, and you're making slick, like your body's begging to be bred, to be owned.
He sounded almost amused. "Don't say that," I whispered.
Why? Because it's true. You can lie to yourself all you want, Omega, but you can't lie to me. I can smell what you need.
His thumb swiped over the head of my length, and I bucked into his hand, involuntarily. He released me suddenly, and I actually whimpered at the loss. A high, needy Omega sound that made me want to throw myself from the moving car. Except we weren't moving. We were parked behind a warehouse, and I was half naked and covered in shame.
Get dressed, Eli.
My hands shook as I fumbled with my zipper. He watched, expression unreadable, and I could feel his alpha presence like a weight.
I have rules. Break them, and your father gets a visit anyway. After all, he owes me so much debts. Understand?
I nodded, not trusting my own voice.
Rule 1. You live with me now. I'll have someone pack your shit tomorrow.
But I need to tell.
No. You disappear. Your girlfriend thinks you ghosted. Your parents think you took a job out of state. Your mother will get a cashier's check for $5,000 next week for your dad's medical bills, assuming you behave.
The bribe was almost kind. That made it worse.
Rule 2. No more suppressants.
My head snapped up. What? No, I need...
You don't need shit except what I give you. Those suppressants are messing with your system. You stop taking them today.
You can't do that. I'll go into heat.
You will. Probably within 2 weeks, based on how much slick you're making right now. And when you do, I'll take care of it.
I don't want you to take care of it, I said desperately. I don't want you. Don't you get it? I'm just here because I need to repay my father's debts. His smile turned sharp just after I had said that. He leaned in close, inhaled at my neck again.
Your mouth keeps saying that. But Omegas can't lie to Alphas, baby. Not really. I can scent the truth. Rule 3. You don't touch yourself without permission. You don't come unless I say so. Your body is mine for 6 months. I decide when it gets pleasure. That's the deal. And if you don't want this deal anymore, say the word. I'll take you home and put a bullet in your father's head before sunrise.
I believed him. The alpha in him didn't bluff. Fine, I whispered.
Good boy.
The praise hit different than it should have. My omega hindbrain preened, desperate for more alpha approval, and I hated it, hated myself.
Rule 4, and this is important. You don't lie to me about what your body needs. Omegas get sick when they ignore their biology. You feel a heat coming, you tell me. You need to nest, you tell me. You need to be knotted.
I won't, I interrupted. I won't need that. His expression almost looked pitying as he stared back at me.
You will. Suppressants mess up with your system, make your heats irregular, but once they're out of your body, you'll go into a heat so hard you'll beg me to breed you.
Stop saying that, I snapped, my face burning.
Why? Because you grew up being told Omegas are shameful. That needing an alpha makes you weak. Your father did a number on you, didn't he?
Don't talk about my father.
Your father sold you to me rather than face his debt like a man. He doesn't get my respect. Now sit back. We're going home.
I stared out the window as we drove, trying to process. Trying not to think about the fact that I was still hard, that there was slick dampening my boxes, that in 2 weeks I'd go into heat and this male alpha, would knot me. My phone buzzed somewhere in the console. Sarah, probably. Sweet, normal Sarah who thought I was working late. I'd never see her again. I'd never be normal again. And the worst part, the part that made my omega biology sing even as my mind rebelled, was that some messed up part of me wanted to know what it felt like. To be knotted, to be claimed, to submit to an alpha who looked at me like I was something to own. What's going to happen to me? I asked quietly. He glanced over, something almost soft in his expression for just a second.
I'm going to break you down. Every wall you've built, every lie you've told yourself about what you are. And then I'm going to build you back up into exactly what you're supposed to be.
What's that? I asked him, and his smile turned darker.
Mine.
Chapter 2, What I Wasn't Supposed to Be. I'd never nested before. Not once in 7 years of being an Omega. My father had forbidden it. Standing in the Alpha's bedroom now, his bedroom because apparently this was my life now, I felt every suppressed instinct I'd spent years burying claw its way to the surface. The bed was massive, king-sized, covered in dark charcoal sheets that probably cost more than everything I owned, and it smelled like him. Leather and smoke and something darker, something that made my hindbrain whisper alpha, alpha, and he was safe even though nothing about this situation was safe. My hands were shaking. Had been shaking since we left the car. Suppressant withdrawal, probably. Or shock. Or the crushing weight of knowing I'd just sold myself to a man whose name I didn't even know.
You can sleep on the bed. I'll take the couch tonight. Feel comfortable.
I should have been relieved. Should have thanked whatever God was listening that I'd have the bed to myself, that he wasn't going to touch me yet. Instead, some traitorous, broken part of me felt rejected. The realization made me sick. What the hell was wrong with me? He'd bought me like property. And I was upset he wasn't climbing into bed with me. My omega biology was already betraying me, making me feel things I had no right to feel. Why? The word escaped before I could stop it. Small and confused and so omega that I wanted to crawl out of my skin. His eyebrow raised.
You want me in the bed with you, Omega?
No, I said too quickly, heat flooding my face. You said I'm yours now. Why would you? I trailed off, not even sure what I was asking. He moved closer and I backed up instinctively until my legs hit the bed. Years of my father's warnings screamed in my head. That alphas only want one thing from omegas. They'll use us and throw us away.
Because when I finally bury myself inside of you, Eli, I want you begging for it, not terrified.
Heat pooled low in my stomach. It was shameful and wrong and undeniable. My body was responding even as my mind rebelled, Slick already starting to gather. He could probably smell it. Could probably smell exactly how much my omega biology wanted what my mouth kept denying. That's not going to happen, I whispered. He looked down at me for a long moment, and I couldn't read his expression. Couldn't understand what he saw when he looked at me. This omega he'd acquired like property, this broken thing that couldn't even accept its own nature. Then next he said quietly, and something in his voice had shifted. Softened, maybe, though that seemed impossible for a man who'd had his hand around my throat an hour ago.
For what it's worth, I'm sorry your father made you hate what you are.
Those words punched through my chest like a bullet. He left before I could respond, before I could process what he'd said, closing the door behind him with a soft click that sounded too final, and I lay there in his bed, surrounded by his scent, my body responding in ways I'd spent my whole life suppressing, and felt something crack open inside my chest. Let me tell you all my depressing story. I was 15 when my life ended. I know that sounds dramatic. Teenagers always think their problems are world-ending, that whatever they're going through is the worst thing that could possibly happen. But I was right. The morning I presented as Omega, every plan I'd had for my future, every hope, every dream was gone. That day, I woke up at 3 a.m., covered in slick, and knowing, with absolute certainty, that nothing would ever be the same. It was July, summer break before sophomore year. I'd been hoping, praying to any god that would listen, that I'd present to everyone as Beta like my father. That I would be Beta, like my older sister had 2 years earlier. Cassie had presented Beta and Dad had taken her out for dinner, was proud and relieved. Good genetics, he'd said, like she'd accomplished something instead of just existing. I'd wanted that too, wanted to be normal, unremarkable, and safe too. Instead, I woke up to my sheets soaked through, my body burning from the inside out, and a need so intense I couldn't form coherent thoughts. Just need, my biology screaming for something I didn't understand yet. I'd stumbled to the bathroom and locked myself in, my legs barely holding me up. Everything felt wrong, too sensitive, too hot, too wet. I'd looked at myself in the mirror and barely recognized what I saw. Flushed face, dilated pupils, lips parted as I panted through the heat. I looked wrecked. I looked like an Omega. Being called an Omega had felt like a curse. I'd turned on the shower, thinking cold water might help, might make this stop. But my hands had found their way between my legs almost involuntarily, seeking relief from the ache that was consuming me. I'd never touched myself like that before, had barely even thought about it. But my body knew what it needed. Slick coated my fingers, and I'd made a noise I'd never made before. High and needy and desperate. That's when the bathroom door had slammed open. My father had woken up by my distressed scent, still in his pajamas. He'd looked at me, still flushed, panting, fingers between my legs, slick wet and undeniably Omega, and his face had done something I'd never seen before. His face morphed into one of disgust, shame and grief, like I had died, like the son he'd wanted had just ceased to exist.
Get in the shower. Into the cold water. Now.
I obeyed, shaking so hard I could barely stand. The cold water had been agony against my overheated skin, but I'd stood there because he told me to. Stood there while he left and came back with clothes. Stood there until the heat receded enough that I could think again. He wouldn't look at me while I dried off and dressed. He wouldn't meet my eyes. His eyes were filled with shame and disgust for me. He'd taken me to a private and expensive clinic that same morning. The kind of place that didn't ask questions. A doctor had examined me. I'd never felt more violated in my life, and confirmed what we already knew.
He's an Omega. Healthy, by all measures. His first heat would come, likely, in 6 months. We can prescribe suppressants if...
Yes, give him the strongest suppressants you have here.
Mr. Torres, I should explain the side effects of these suppressants. Long-term suppressant use can cause...
I don't care. Give them all to him.
So she had. Pills were so strong, I had thrown up for 3 days straight. Pills that made my head fuzzy and my body feel wrong and disconnected. Pills that were supposed to make me normal. The car ride home had been silent except for my father's white-knuckled grip on the steering wheel. We were almost to the house when he finally spoke.
You aren't going to tell anyone. Not a word to your friends, nor your sister. No one. Do you understand me, Eli? No one knows you're an Omega.
Little M had nodded then. My throat had felt too tight.
You're going to live a normal life. You're going to take these pills every day. You're going to find a nice beta girl when you're older. Get married. Have a normal job. A normal life. This doesn't define you. It's just biology. A mistake. But it doesn't have to ruin your life if we're smart about it.
So because of my father, I buried my secret. I took my pills every single day, even when they made me sick. Even when my body felt wrong and disconnected and like it wasn't mine anymore. I dated girls because that's what normal guys did. I played sports. I worked out. I built my body into something strong and alpha-looking, like I could muscle my way out of my own biology. I never nested. Never let myself scent anything for comfort. Never gave in to the Omega instincts that whispered in the back of my mind during what should have been heats. I became whoever my father needed me to be. But now, lying in an alpha's bed 7 years later, my body was... I could feel it that the suppressants were losing their hold. My biology was waking up after years of forced dormancy. My skin felt too sensitive. The sheets against my body were almost painful in their softness. And his scent, his scent was everywhere. In the pillows and the blankets, soaked into the very air I was breathing. My Omega hindbrain was going insane. I grabbed a pillow before I could stop myself and pulled it against my chest. Then another one. My hands moved without conscious thought, arranging them around me, creating a barrier. The first nest I'd ever built. I felt ashamed. This was exactly what my father had warned me about. This was Omega behavior, weak and submissive, everything I'd spent 7 years trying not to be. But I couldn't stop. I pulled the blankets closer, buried my face in the pillow that smelled most strongly of the alpha, and felt something inside me settle. Like a part of myself I'd been missing had finally clicked back into place. A single tear slid down my face as I felt myself falling asleep. Chapter 3. I woke to fingers trailing down my spine. My eyes flew open and I jerked away instinctively, but the hand on my hip held firm, keeping me in place.
Relax. It's just me. You're sad. Why are you crying in your sleep?
What are you doing? My voice came out shakier than I wanted. It's none of your business if I'm crying, and lastly, I don't even know your name. The man I just sold myself to.
Well, if you need to know, my name is Dante, sweet boy. Secondly, everything about you is my business now. And lastly, your scent blockers comes off today. You're no longer using them.
I twisted to look at him over my shoulder. He was propped on one elbow, already dressed in dark jeans but shirtless, his hair messy in a way that made him look almost human. Almost. What? Hell no, I need them for work.
No, you don't. I want every alpha in that club to smell exactly what you are. Who you belong to.
Heat flooded through me, part fear, part something else I didn't want to name. They'll know I'm Omega, I said, and his hand slid from my hip to my stomach, pulling me back against his chest. Dante...
But first, I'm marking you properly. So there's no question who you belong to